Hello everyone, I got some new comic books for everyone today. I was at my local comic book store, Comics Unlimited in Cleveland, Tennessee. Shout out you guys. They're awesome. I would highly recommend them to anyone. They got a good selection of back issues and they have all my new comics when they're coming out. But they were upset at me for shouting out McKay's and not them yet, so I'm shouting you out, guys. Here it is. But they had a sale going on. It's been going on for a while, but any of their back issues, out of the vast amount of back issues they have that didn't have an orange sticker on them because they all have different colored stickers, was just $1. So I had plans that day. Then I didn't have plans that day because I wanted to look through everything and get a nice haul for you guys. So starting us off, we got All New Invaders number 9, written by James Robinson, art by Steve Pugh. It's not really a creative team I'm familiar with, but when I get when I get the whole thing, I'll start reading them. I've got a long list of things that I'm wanting to read, but the Invaders are basically a team that consists of Captain America, Namor, the original Human Torch, Union Jack, Spitfire, and Bucky Barnes. All set in World War II. For the most part, sometimes they have modern versions of it, like this one, as you can see right here. That's Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier, which the Winter Soldier is a version of Bucky Barnes where when Captain America fell off the bomb and landed in the ice, he thinks that Bucky exploded in the bomb. And it turns out that he was actually picked up by Hydra and brainwashed to become a sleeper agent for them, which is where the Winter Soldier comes from. But really cool team. I'm almost done with all these. Got a cool Deathlock cover on here. I like Deathlock. Got his first appearance somewhere. But should be a really cool book. Excited to read it. Next, we got Captain America Volume 5, number 28. This is a cover with Sin on it, who is Red Skull's daughter. And I really like her design. I think it's a really cool looking character. But besides that, it's written by Ed Brubaker, and the art for this issue is done by Steve Epting. And I looked inside most of these. It seems like hit or miss for if I really like the art or don't. I can't remember out of the artists that do these next few issues which one I like the most. But this is volume 5, which ran for, I think it's over 100 issues. Could be wrong on that. But this is the volume that actually introduces the Winter Soldier. So if you had interest in the Winter Soldier, his first appearance is in this comic series. But really cool villains on the cover. I don't know if they're called the Serpent Society, but I know that's a villain from Invincible, which these guys kind of remind me of. But Captain America number 28. And then 48. The art by this one is Butch Guys. Or Geis. Cool little photograph cover. Not my favorite cover, but I mean, it's passable. I mainly collect, well, this isn't an Invaders run, but Invaders I collect in general because Namor being in it, he's one of my favorites. And this is clearly an Invaders-inspired issue due to the team being right there. Next, we got number 49, and the art by this one is Luke Ross. I think this is the guy that I like the most. And the blonde girl I know is from an older Captain America run. I know she's important. I can't remember her name. It's not Captain Carter, but I can't remember who she is. And then the Falcon, Sam Wilson, who later becomes Captain America. I can't tell. I've not read any of the series where he is Captain America, so I can't say for sure if I like him better as the Falcon or as Captain America. I do like, most people don't know this, in the movies, the Falcon, well, he's the Falcon, but the actual Falcon that he has on his shoulder there is the robot version in the movies. But in the comic, he has a real Falcon, and for some reason, he has like a telepathic link to the Falcon. Very strange. Very campy. I like that. I don't know if that's good writing or not, but it's very comic-y. Then we got number 603. The art by this one is also done by Luke Ross. Captain America pointing a fucking pistol at me. Don't know how I like that. But I actually had this issue, but it was the variant where instead of Cap right there, it's well, right here, it's Deadpool with one of those fake guns that have the Blam little flag on it. And I had that, but I have to get cover A's as well because I'm insane. I have to have cover A's. Me and my buddy Ryder argue about, is it important to get cover A's? But my buddy Wig agrees with me, so 2 against 1. I think we might be right. Next is 605, and Ross's name is on the cover. I don't know. That's probably Luke Ross, actually. I would have said that's an Alex Ross cover, but now that I'm looking at it, it is most definitely not. But I really like this cover. The disheveled Captain America. Looking down, it makes me feel like I'm the AIM agent or the Hydra agent he just beat the absolute shit out of. And his shield kind of looks like cardboard, but, really cool cover. He'd still probably beat the shit out of me with a cardboard shield, so either way, getting my ass whooped. But number 605, and then number 613, The Trial of Captain America. He doesn't have blonde hair in this, which Steve Rogers usually has blonde hair, so I would think that's U.S. agent who is fake Captain America. He's basically, like, from what I understand, a government replacement of Captain America that ends up having bad intentions at heart, unlike the actual Captain America. But whoever it is, he's going to court. So good luck to either Steve Rogers or Mr. U.S. Agent. And then number 614, cool Red Skull cover. The burning Statue of Liberty with Red Skull's gnarly ass teeth screaming at me. Screaming at you for not liking and subscribing to the channel. Anything helps. I hate asking to begin with. I want to find a better way to start asking these questions, but help the channel grow, guys. I really love showing off my comic hauls, so it means the world to me. But cool Red Skull cover. Red Skull looks high as a kite in that. I don't know if you can see his eyes, but they are bloodshot red, almost as red as his skin. If you're getting that high, you're probably seeing God. Next is, you would think it's Spider Island Herc, but this is from the volume of Hercules just called Herc that I've been trying to collect because I want to get into Greg Pak. I heard his Incredible Hercules run is great, as well as Agents of Atlas run. And I've been really trying to find those for cheap when I can. And these next 2 particular issues are really hard to find because they have Spider Island splattered across the top, so they're not usually mixed in with Hercules. In fact, when I found this, it was in the Spider-Man section under Spider Island, and I was so relieved because I was like, finally I can fucking find these, because they're, like I said, a real pain in the ass. The cover's real cool on this one. I like the black and white in the background. I do not know if I like Hercules' costume, which you'll see in a second. It changes colors from this issue to the next issue. And the art by June Brigman, I'm not trying to be a hater when I say this, but I opened it up and it was not my most favorite art that I've seen, to say the least. But I'm still going to try to give it a read. Like I said, it's written by Greg Pak, but also Fred Van Lente, which I'm not familiar with. But it takes place during the Spider Island event, which was when everyone in Manhattan gained spider powers for some odd reason. Like everyone in Manhattan. I think J. Jonah Jameson was swinging around, having a great time, or cursing at himself and all the other Spider-Mans, because that's the only thing he does is be a giant fucking hater of Spider-Man. But, got that issue. And then I got issue number 8. See how the color changes? It went from red and green to yellow and green, which I might like the yellow and green more. Stands out a little more. It doesn't look exactly like Spider-Man. But about to be torn apart by a Hydra from the looks of it. Not a fun time. Yeah, not much else to say about this one. Herc's in for a bad time, or Hercules. Herc is such a dumb thing to call a series based on Hercules. Just call it Hercules. The next, we have the X-Men event, House of X. Been trying to piece these together when I find them for cheap. Usually they're like when they're actually priced, and not when you don't get lucky and find them in a dollar bin or less. They're anywhere from like $5 to $10. So when I can grab one for $1, and this particular issue is one I've sworn I've had, like I've seen it, and I'm like, I have that issue. Go home and realize I don't have that issue. And then rinse and repeat. I do it over and over again. And when I get home, I'm like, fucking, god damn it, why? But, cool Apocalypse cover, walking through some reads. It's written by Jonathan Hickman, one of the best writers. He's writing Ultimate Spider-Man right now, which is phenomenal, and Wolverine Revenge, which is a really good series. Art by Greg Capullo on that one, but we're not here to talk about his art, because this art is by Pepe Larraz, who's someone I've definitely heard a lot about, but am not too familiar with his work, so I'm going to have to do a deeper dive into that. From what I know about the miniseries, it's part of like the dawn of X, or the Krakoan age of X-Men books. I'm not the most diehard X-Men fan, so you gotta have to excuse me if I get some of these wrong. But from what I've heard, it was a big moment for X-Men fans. Everyone thought they were in good hands with Jonathan Hickman, and they are. I've heard he did really good up until he dropped the series, and then Marvel just kind of canned the whole thing, tried to start over from the beginning yet again, like they always do. Just let stuff breathe. Like carry on with stuff. Even if the main creator drops out, doesn't mean you have to stop. Even if you have like a few things here and there that aren't that bad. But from what I heard, some people were glad to see it go. Some people wanted it to stay. It's kind of a toss-up. So, House of X number 5. And then, y'all should get used to this by now. Incredible Hulk number 439, part of the Peter David Rudd, written by Peter David, and art by Angel Medina, who I've grown to really love. Angel's artwork. I've been reading Warlock and the Infinity Watch with Jim Sterling, and on again, off again, Angel Medina. Every artist they've had on that book was phenomenal, but Angel's Medina's artwork really, really, really stands out. It's so cool, and the colorist has to be credited on that book too, because the colors just pop every time you open the page, and you just kind of, it's one of those comics where you open it and you're like, holy shit, just kind of sit there and take in the artwork for a second. But part of Peter David's run went, I think, well over 100 issues, maybe even 200 issues, which no writer does that anymore. To stay to one title like that for that long, and he did X Factor for 100 issues. That's why I'm trying to collect all this Peter David stuff, because I've read X Factor, almost done reading X Factor, and just probably my favorite Marvel book of all time now. It's so good. He takes these, because Hulk was struggling at the time, so he always takes these heroes that aren't doing good at the time or aren't real well known, and gives them their chance to shine. He really does a great job at fleshing out characters and making you really sit down and feel like you know the character. I just love his writing style. Like, I would never have known, in terms of X Factor characters, who Strong Guy, who Manette St. Croix is, or Richter, or Darwin, or Siren. I wouldn't have any idea who they were. And I thought Longshot and Shatterstar were like really lame characters until I read that run. And now I love those characters. So if you're ever wondering what you should read from a Marvel standpoint, I might make a video on some stuff I recommend, but definitely Peter David's X Factor is high up there. Incredible Hulk number 439. And then this is one of the only books I didn't pay $1 for. I paid $2 for it. Great deal for something this old. Jungle Action, Volume 2, number 17. Written by Don McGregor, art by Gil Kane. The art in this is awesome. I opened it up, was showing my girlfriend some of the splash pages in this, and just awesome. Like, sometimes older artwork is just too, not copy paste, but like, it's not plain either. It's just cookie cutter. It's like cookie cutter layouts. Nothing really too exciting besides like Jack Kirby, and I'll think of more eventually, but this guy really stood out to me, Gil Kane, when I opened up. And apparently the story's really good too, because there's a podcast I watch called My Marvelous Year with one of their names is Zach. I think Chris and Zach. No, that's Oni Plays. Shit. But anyway, one of them's My Comic Book Herald, and then the other one, I'm pretty sure his name is Zach. I've not gotten to listen to it too much recently, but I love that podcast. It's the only podcast I've listened to as much as, I mean, over any other podcast ever, honestly. But they have talked about this series so in such high regard, and Zach, he up until this point, because they start from like 1961 and do like really important books or stories from each year, and just kind of talk about them and break them down. This is the first one that Zach was like, I have to go and pick up the rest of these. And that really drew my attention because of how much they liked it and how much they liked the art and the writing in this. So I obviously had to pick it up. Cool cover too. Got some dinosaurs coming in on Black Panther versus Killmonger. And One Shall Die. And all this is part of this is the climax issue, but it's all part of a story arc called Panther's Rage, which is a really infamous Black Panther story. And I think it might, yeah, this comes before the Black Panther solo series, so this might be his first, like, solo story, actually. I don't know if it's credited as that, but it's, I'm sure it's going to be really good. I can't wait to read all of it. The first appearance of Killmonger is going to cost me quite a bit, but I'll pay it if I need to, unless I can find it really cheap, and I'm really damn lucky one day. But yeah, Jungle Action number 17. And then next, we've got, I was so excited to find these, because as you've seen in past issues, I've been trying to, past videos, I've been trying to collect all of Mike Allred's X-Static stuff for really cheap. And to find issue 2 was amazing. The art's by Mike Allred. This is written by Peter Milligan, though. And really cool cover right here. I know a few of their names. That's Orphan, doing a fucking sick backflip over, his name might be Samson. I can't remember his name. Most characters in X-Static die quite a bit because they're an X team that just kind of centers on fame. They film everything. They're almost like content creators or live streamers, but they're superheroes. And things usually go very wrong. A lot of them die horrendous deaths. And so it's very rare for you to see one character continue through multiple issues. But I've noticed this guy right here, I'm pretty sure is still alive. So must be pretty strong if you can survive that long in an X-Statics book. And then we got Number 7. So I know this one's Dead Girl. Like I said, Orphan. Dupe. And then the rest I don't know. This guy reminds me of Wolfsbane. I really like her design. And I feel very indifferent toward that character. I don't know anything about him. Might be a lot cooler than I'm letting it. Than he seems to be. But just doesn't seem too appealing from like a character design perspective. But maybe I'm wrong. I really like this cover. There's a McDonald's sign down here. Hidden in the background. So that's Ecstatics number 7. And then number 9. Orphan kicking the shit out of his own teammate for Ecstatics the movie. And this right here is the helmet the Orphan usually wears. Don't know the practicality of it or what it does, but it has to be for something good. Not much else to say for this cover. Looks like he's... Yeah, you know what? Nothing really else to say. Not too much to talk about for that cover. I don't know any other additional information on it, so... Now, on these next two, I have a wealth of information on Ecstatics number 16, Back from the Dead, Part 4. This has a lot of background to it, this and the next issue, because they were both part of a controversial story arc originally called Die Another Day. Now, Die, in this case, doesn't have the E in it, so it's D-I, Another Day. And this, right here, was originally Princess Diana. And she was portrayed as a mutant that returned from the dead after her August 1997 car accident that took her life. And Mike Allred and Peter Milligan were forced to change a lot, like they were forced to alter the story and the art after the solicitation for the comic book received a lot of criticism from both the royal family and, get this, Elton John. Elton John was like, you better fucking stop playing around. And, you know, forget the royal family's opinion. I think Elton John was what really drove home getting this book to be changed. Not that I have anything against the royal family. I don't know. Someone out there might be pissed that I said that, but oh well. And number 18, a grudge-looking version of Princess Diana. Guess it is pretty insensitive, but just a fun fact, too. I mean, you're never going to get... No one has the balls to do anything like that. I mean, imagine someone making a story about Kurt Cobain come back to life and looking somewhat like that. But Ecstatics number 18. And then these next 3 books are ones that I paid $4 a piece for. Kaya, written and drawn by Wes Craig. It's a fantasy epic from what I understand. Maybe a little bit of sci-fi thrown in there too. But if you don't watch Pop Culture Philosophers, they're a comic book review channel that reviews stuff every week. And he has been, like, this series has gotten several picks of the week from him, which is the best comic book that came out that week. And he keeps comparing it to Bone. Bone is my favorite comic book of all time. And when he now says it stands on its own, but it's as good as Bone. And now I want to go and pick up all of these because, I mean, that's high praise. And I do like the art. I like the little synopsis they do for the current issue down at the bottom. Really cool way of doing that. I wish more comics did that. But I got several of these issues. I read issue 1. Didn't really draw me in that much. So I'm hoping that as it goes on, and I'm piecing these together, that I like it more and more and start seeing the comparisons. And then we got number 3, surrounded by spiders with the little lizard people around her. This is Kaya, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's Kaya. She's kind of transporting her brother somewhere. They're like the last of their kind. Something happened. And she's good friends with this lizard man from what I read in issue 1. And I think he kind of has a crush on her, but he's supposed to be getting married to someone else. So there's complications in that. Seems like really cool world building. Hopefully, I like it as much. I like her arm design. I think it's cool. So, really hoping that lives up to the hype I've created in my head. Probably not a good thing to create hype in my head like that, but oh well. And then number 4, that's her brother. Maybe they got separated, or, I mean, I could read the bottom and find out, but I'm not going to do that on here. I'm not going to waste anyone's time. But Kaya number 4. The next got Saga number 67, written by Brian K. Vaughan, art by Fiona Staples, who both an amazing writer and an amazing artist. I used to have the trade paperback when this was first coming out for issues 1 through 20 until my friend borrowed it. I won't name any names, and he lost it, so you know who you are, and I will be hunting you down to the bitter ends of the earth forever. But the series went on hiatus for a while, and I've been piecing together the series. I have issue 1 signed by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and in a past haul, I showed that I got issues 2 and 3, which filled in a huge hole for me, so I'm about to read through a lot of Saga. I might do that tonight. I usually start reading stuff that I've been meaning to after I talk about them on my little videos, so that's probably going to happen tonight. And it was on hiatus since 2018, and it just came back a couple of years ago in 2022. So, really excited to be collecting these. I stopped collecting the newer issues because I was like, I need to read and catch up and then get these. But they had 67, one of the issues that I did need, for $1. And this wasn't even with all the books that had stickers on them. This was in their dollar bin. And it's in good condition, so definitely going to pick that up for $1. And then, should have been more prepared for this, but give me just 1 second. We got Savage Dragon number 4, written and drawn by Eric Larson. I've showed off a lot of these Savage Dragons because they're just calling to me like a siren song. I just keep coming like I'm like a moth to a flame. And I've read a few issues and I like it. It's very 90s, and I'm not used to like the 90s aesthetic quite honestly, like the early Image stuff, like action figures being slammed against one another, is how someone described Rob Liefeld once, and that's how I kind of feel about a lot of the early Image stuff. But I've realized I've never explained what the Savage Dragon's about, even after reading it. So, it's about a dragon man. This is going to be very simple, by the way. Don't expect anything too crazy. I'm not going to break down everything, but it's a dragon man named Dragon, who wakes up in found in a field that's on fire with no memory of who he is. So what does he do? What would any sane man do in this situation? He becomes a superpowered dragon cop, the coolest possibility that you can think of. Try to think of anything cooler you could do waking up in a field of fire. Maybe a few things, but I don't think you can do much better than a superpowered dragon cop. But this series is still going on today. Spawn is like, I should have researched this, but Spawn came out around the same time as Savage Dragon, and it's like past issue 300, and Savage Dragon is on issue like 275. And I'm pretty sure Eric Larson is still doing both the art and the writing. So for one person to stick on a book for that long, I admire the shit out of stuff like that. I think it's awesome. It shows how much he loves his creation. And I realized that looking on Key Collector, I didn't know Savage Dragon's actual first appearance, so I looked it up, and it's like this weird indie title that there's only like a few hundred copies of, and it's worth over $2,000. And I was like, holy shit. I will have to really, really, really love Savage Dragon in order to ever buy that. But regardless, really cool. Savage Dragon number 4. And then we got number 6. All his buddies going, walking away from him. Something I've noticed about Savage Dragon characters and their design is that the dudes wear V-necks that aren't Savage Dragon, and the girls wear one-piece swimsuits. All 3 of the women in this, besides, I mean, I can't tell, but the lizard lady down there probably also has a one-piece, but they all have the same outfit on. Which, don't get me wrong, not really complaining about it, but seems like he's going for one thing and sticking to it. But they're leaving him behind, old Savage Dragon. And from what I've read, I know who these characters are. Couldn't tell you their names. These 3. Oh, well, him, her, and her. But these 2, I'm not really aware of who they are yet. Then number 8. Some of the villains that you see toward the beginning of the book. Also don't know their names. This guy gets his shit rocked by Savage Dragon at the beginning of it. Got some cool death metal looking armor on and a sick axe. I think that's an axe. But really cool looking characters. I like how the background is mostly like kind of blended in with the rest, but the trash can is so clear. It kind of does add stuff to it though, like something about it is meant to be there, I feel like. And you gotta love that metal jockstrap that they've given him and his crazy ass hair. I'm gonna break down this hair real quick. He's got braids coming down, right? Hair that sticks out like that for some reason. 2 spikes, and then a long ass ponytail. How anyone would have that much hair to do all that with is beyond me, but looks pretty neat. So, Savage Dragon number 8. And then Savage Dragon number 9. Got Super Patriot on the cover right there. Who both Savage Dragon and Super Patriot show up in the funeral for the Guardians of the Globe in Invincible Season 1. You can see him in the background. And Super Patriot actually has like a talking point. Like, I'm pretty sure that Mark's mom gets to talk to his wife about what it means being the wife of a superhero. So I always found it interesting that Savage Dragon teams up with a little bit of everyone. He has teamed up with Spawn. He's teamed up with Hellboy, Super Patriot, Invincible, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The list goes on and on. It feels like a nice collaboration of indie projects that everyone's really willing to throw in the mix with Savage Dragon. That's just so cool. So, Savage Dragon number 9. And then Batman. Moving on to DC. Batman Volume 2. Almost nothing to say about the cover for this one. It is just a Robin cover. But it's written by Scott Snyder, and the art on this issue is done by Andy Kubert. This is the same volume that introduces the Court of Owls and Mr. Bloom, who are both really cool additions to the Gotham mythos. I wanted to start reading these Scott Snyder ones. I already had issues 1 through 13 when I was a kid, but I really wanted to start picking the rest of them up for cheap because of Scott Snyder's newest run that has started, Absolute Batman, which has been phenomenal. Still waiting to get a copy of issue 2. A little late on it, but I'm going to read it and probably love it. All the Absolute stuff's been killing it. Superman, not as much as Wonder Woman and Batman, but regardless, it's making me want to read more DC books. So, Batman number 18. And then Number 22. Cool little cover, I guess. Not much happening on that one either. And then 41. I believe that's Failsafe. I don't know anything about that character. I know Azrael is a loose, well, I think he's a big part of it. Like, it's like a Nightfall run or anything. And by the way, anything after issue 18, the art's done by Greg Capullo, who was doing that Wolverine Revenge run I was talking about. His artwork's great. So, really excited to read those just for the fact that it's Snyder and Capullo together. That has to be a good team. And it seems like Capullo stuck around for a lot of these issues. I know Snyder stuck around for 50 issues on this run. So, a good, for a modern-ish book, that's a really long time to stick around for. So, kudos to that creative team. And then 42. Failsafe, looking at, I don't know who that is. Probably Batman. Or is Failsafe Batman? I'm not sure. But, yeah, pretty cool cover. Nothing too crazy. And then issue 45. Batman looks ridiculously skinny in this. He's breaking a move. He's got a fucking gun too, so watch out. And he looks like he has a cigarette in his mouth. It really looks like he's dancing with a cigarette in his mouth. I have a story about a guy at a bar who just came in to the middle place where everyone was sitting at, lit a cigar, put headphones in, danced around, and everyone like listening to his own music until the cigar went out. He put it out and then took his earbuds out and then left. Didn't buy a drink or anything. Just came in, did his thing, and left. And I've realized that I'm not the main character ever since that moment. I know who the main character in this life is now, and he killed it on the dance floor and didn't give a shit that people were watching him. So, Batman number 45. And then, number 47. What I would give for Mr. Bloom to hold me like that. Oh my god. Especially with those fishnets. But all jokes aside, Mr. Bloom's pretty cool. He's like Slender Man with a fucking flower stapled to his face. Seems pretty menacing. I'm really excited to get to the part where he becomes a bigger deal in this series. So, Batman number 47. And then Green Lantern, Volume 5, number 18, written by Jeff Johns, who I love his writing. He's doing his own unnamed universe at Image right now under his label Ghost Machine. All the titles are Junkyard Joe, Geiger, Rook Exodus, Hyde Street, and Redcoat. And they're all phenomenal. Redcoat I wasn't a big fan of at first, and then I grew into it. Kind of the same with Rick Exodus, but it got me hooked quicker. Geiger and Junkyard Joe are fucking phenomenal. They're so good. Would recommend them to anyone. But back to his DC work. Green Lantern Volume 5, number 18. I'm mainly trying to collect Jeff Johns' Volume 4 run, which he does all of it. He drops off of this book in like the 20-something issue range. But if it's written by Jeff Johns, I'm going to pick it up too. Art, by the way, by Szymon Kudronsky. Hopefully I didn't butcher that, but I probably did. But this is the new 52 Green Lantern, which is probably why it was forced to be rebooted. Mainly focused around Hal Jordan. I really like Hal Jordan. I like almost all the main Green Lanterns from what I've read. I don't know the newest girl. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about her. So, but I've heard people say good things. So she has to be somewhat cool of a character. Really cool little run that he did on Volume 4. Haven't got all of them. Have enough to read it. will try to eventually. Not like Saga, where I'm going to go downstairs and read it tonight, but definitely going to have to check it out eventually. And then we've got Green Lantern Corps number 2 from Volume 2, written by Dave Gibbons and art by Patrick Gleason. I've heard the name Patrick Gleason before. I've heard the name Dave Gibbons before. Can't think of anything off the top of my head that I've read, but this is another one I was reading as a kid, along with Green Lantern Volume 4 as they were coming out. This, Green Lantern Volume 4, and Emerald Warriors were my favorite DC books by far and away. So I've been trying to piece them together to read. Really cool to find issue number 2 for $1, because I already had issue number 1. You know, you're always looking for issue number 1s. When you find them, you're like, oh, thank God. But when you have a gap, like let's say you have number 1, then issues like 3 through 10, number 2 is the one eluding you, then you get almost just as excited finding the second issue. Cool cover. The only lantern I recognize on this cover is Guy Gardner, who is right here. A fiery redhead guy who I believe becomes a Red Lantern later on. So that'll be interesting to learn more about. But Green Lantern Corps number 2. And then we have Justice number 8. Love Alex Ross's art. I've said that a million times, but when he does not just the cover, but the interior artwork, I will be picking it up. So, art by Alex Ross, but it's written by Jim Kruger. And this is one of those series where I thought I had every issue, which I do, but I realized while researching for this video that my copies of number 1 and number 12 are variants, and they're not a cover A. They're still Alex Ross covers, so it's not one of those I'm going to sell later. I will be keeping those covers regardless, but I still now have to look for cover A's for those, or I will feel incomplete. So there's number 8. I'll go over the plot when I'm showing off these other issues of it. Number 9, Black Adam rocking the hell out of Shazam. Shazam's family going against him. I'm gonna have to read it. I've read a little bit of it. I think I've read issues 1 through 4. Phenomenal. Really, really good. Alex Ross artwork obviously sells it a lot for me. It's so awesome to see him working on interiors. But the plot, in a very loose summary, and before I get into that, I'll change the cover again to number 11. Hal Jordan Sinestro having a little fight. But the plot is about major villains of the DC universe are all having the same nightmare. And the nightmare is about the world ending and the superheroes not being able to save everyone. So the villains think this is a sign for them all to put their differences aside and join each other to save the world, while at the same time murdering all of the heroes. So kind of an ass-backward plan where I was at last. It seems like they got away with taking out most of them, but I'm sure that won't last long. I'm interested to see where the story goes, because I love villains more than heroes for the most part, and it's really cool to see a story kind of centric around all the villains. And it's kind of, as someone who's trying to get more into DC, it's a good showcase for all these cool villains that are just showing up, and to be able to see them in Alex Ross artwork makes me want to go out of my way to look them up even further. So really excited to be reading that, issue 11. And then finally, issue number 12. Great Scarecrow design. I love when Scarecrow has the noose around his neck. I watched a video breaking down one of the Batman animated series, like the design for that Scarecrow, and how it's like the best design ever. And I'll have to say, it's a really cool design. So, Justice number 12. And then finally, the last few issues here. Mr. Miracle from Volume 4, written by Tom King and art by Nick Darrington. Really, I mean, I've heard so much about this series. All these YouTubers and other content creators that I watch that have anything to do with comics have really talked about this series in high regard. I know Rockin' Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers has talked about it. I know that, well, shit, that made me blank. Fire Guy Ryan from Comic Tom 101's channel, and his own channel, which is really great. He's not uploaded in a while, and I miss his uploads, because I like hearing about all the things that he's reading. But he's also talked very highly about this, and people hype it up so much, I think it must be one of the greatest runs of all time. So, nevertheless, the hype meter for me on this one is pretty astronomically high. But there's issue 7. There's issue 8. Love this is Mr. Miracle him, and that's his wife. He's a loyal man, but I love his costume design. I think it's really cool. He was originally created by Jack Kirby, part of the New Gods, which is another series that has received countless praise. That's where Darkseid's first appearance is in. That's where Mr. Miracle's first appearance is in. And I think Omak and Orion. I mean, I don't know these characters super well, so can't say too much about them other than that. But issue 8. And then speaking of Darkseid, on issue 11, and for the final issue of this haul, the biggest oh shit moment captured on a cover. I mean, you would not be surviving this encounter very long, regardless of who you are. Even if you're Mr. Miracle. I mean, I'm sure he survives, but it would not look good on anyone to walk into a room with that man in it. Darkseid's one of the big bads of the DC universe. He's like Thanos, but I watched a Comic Lads video where they talked about how Thanos would get his ass handed by Darkseid. So, he must be the real deal, if that's the case. But from what I know about Mr. Miracle, before I let everyone go, in case anyone's curious, he's a god that comes to Earth and becomes a superpowered escape artist. Because his father traded his own son, who's Mr. Miracle, for Darkseid's son as like a peace treaty. And then Darkseid tried to torture, and he handed off Mr. Miracle to like this lady that set up these elaborate traps to keep him from trying to escape. But that just made him really good at escaping. So when he finally escaped and went to Earth, he found that being an escape artist was an easy job for him to be able to do. And at the same time, why not be a super hero on the side? So, really cool concept for a character. I really like that. Might pick up more stuff. Him and Red Tornado, for some reason, have just really interested me. And they kind of look similar in design. So, take that as you will. But guys, that's it for my comic haul today. Make sure again to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. What did you get this week that you're excited about, or what are you trying to piece together that you really want to get to reading? So thanks again, guys, for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.